check out Cajun Lights, your complete dog hunting outfitter. Tracking equipment, leashes, collars, dog supplies, and much, much more. You can find it all at CajunLights.com. And don't forget their outstanding lineup of lights. You can find it all at CajunLights.com. You know what app I use on my phone more than any other app, besides the podcast app, to listen to this here podcast? I use onX. onX Maps is the most comprehensive mapping system for hunters on the market today. I use it all the time. When I was in New Mexico, I was looking at 40,000 acres of ranch that I needed to learn. I flip open onX and just start studying the map. When I'm riding trails, I put the tracking app on. It helps me get around in strange country. I could mark water sources, food sources, bear sign, just all kinds of options within onX. You need to check out onX Maps by going to houndsmanxp.com. Click on the link on our sponsor page. You'll go right to onX Maps, and when you check out, enter the code HXP20 and you will get 20% off of your order. Know where you stand with onX. Elite nutrition products are the hottest thing on the market right now for dog and horse owners. And Houndsman XP is a dealer. You can find all their products on our website at houndsmanxp.com. Over the past 5 years, you've tuned into this podcast, and I don't take it lightly. We have built a mutual trust. And when I recommend a product, it's because I believe in it, I use it, and I'm given my seal of approval for that. I'm putting my name on that. And with Elite Nutrition products, I do trust it. I do use it. I've seen great results with their essential dogs, their pre and probiotics, their tick-borne disease treatment. It's all natural. It's a great alternative to pharmaceuticals when used appropriately. If you expect extreme performance, you need Elite Nutrition. Available from houndsmanxp.com.
They're up against like a road grader blade, and I get him off of that, and I told Ken, I said, man, so we got two pheasants and a jackrabbit. We're walking out. I'm done. I'm elated. I'm hiring a kite, walking out back to the car. I got Zippy on the leash and got the leash. I'm holding it in my fingers. I don't have the leash tied to my glove, which you should always do, as you know, but I got it in my hand, and we're walking back to the car. We don't get 20 feet from the car. Cottontail takes off. He jumps off the glove, catches the cottontail with a leash on him. They're right by my back tire.
How's it going, everyone? Welcome back for another episode of the Falconry Chronicles podcast. And this episode, along with the next one you'll probably end up hearing, were recorded at another set of dachshund trials last year, and had a chance to meet up with some good buddies and, of course, some dachshund aficionados, and talk falconry and all kinds of other good stuff around the aftermath of some of those trials. So this episode features Mick Brown, who has been the president of the Ohio Falconers Association for a long time. He's kind of assumed that role, and he's had abatement and education businesses as well, and has just been in falconry for a very long time. So it was fun to hear about some of his really cool stories and the myriad of injuries and other physical ailments that he's had to kind of battle to kind of keep doing this and stay in the sport over the years, and a bunch of other stuff. So we're just going to jump right in like we always do and get to this conversation with Mick Brown so you can hear all about it. So here we go. Well, it's good sitting down and having a chance to have dinner and hang out again. And yeah. So did you run a dog today?
No, I did not run. I can't stay for the whole weekend, and so that's a main reason. Plus the heat. I thought it was pretty rough. For conditions. Matter of fact, when I was out there, some of the things I saw, I'm glad I didn't run, to be honest. I bet, hey, it's...
Yeah. It's, this time of year is rough. I mean, we were just talking about all this stuff at dinner, just how, entering a bird, if you have an IS and you're trying to imprint a bird and it just times out the way it does, then sometimes you just don't have a choice but to try and enter a bird and get it going midsummer. But man, it's so miserable.
This is the roughest year I've had as far as, it's just been, we've had no rain in Ohio at all where I live. I think it's 20 some days now, but measurable, without measurable rain. My backyard's cracking, grass is dying. It's just not conducive to hunting. The weeds are dying, but they're not going to fall down, and it's just terrible out there,
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like we were talking about at dinner, I have been definitely reminded as to why this is not like an enjoyable thing for me. I am trying to get, as we were talking about earlier, a new Harris going, and it's so hard when it's so thick and so hot and stuff still, and you're trying to figure out weight, behavior, all that kind of stuff, the training, and
I mean, even at a bird's flying weight right now, it's not going to want to do anything. It's not going to feel a need.
Right.
So it's really, really bad conditions.
Yeah. It's unfortunate, but it's the things we get ourselves into.
It's what we do.
Yeah. I remember having a conversation with another friend years ago saying that, especially like trapping red tails. I mean, sure, whenever you're a brand new apprentice, it's your first bird, you want to get out there September 1st or whenever your legal trapping season starts, you want to get one that day and get it going and this, that, and the other. And then like X amount of years later, it's funny how you think about that and you're just like, most people, I mean, some people stay that way and it's all well and good. I mean, if you've got spots that are a little bit easier to deal with and things like that, all the power to you. But most of the spots that I've got are still so thick and woolly, and trying to get a bird right now, even whenever, and that's the frustrating thing too. I mean, as you know, when you're trying to get a brand new bird that doesn't know anything to learn what your dog's role is and everything else, and it's flying down off a T-perch and tagging it and binding to it and everything just because it doesn't know what's going on and this, that, and the other. It's just frustrating.
Oh, it is. Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
it's really amazing how bad it is. And I did the same thing. We can trap August the 1st. I think it was the 3rd. I trapped my red tail, and of course, in about 3 weeks, I had her ready to go. But what the hell was I going to do? Right. So I did put her on a couple baggies, which guys say not to do, and not all baggies go good, as you know. If they went like they're supposed to, it'd be great. But there was a long time before she was really catching, and that's not good.
Yeah.
So and she was when I trapped her, it was so early that she probably wasn't far from being taken care of by her mom, because she was actually with her sister when I trapped, and had both of them hit the same trap at the same time. Caught them both, and at the same time, and I kept the one that was a little bit bigger, and she was okay, but I wasn't that great. First year, I wasn't that great a falconer. Plus, first year bird and trapping early. Had a lot of things against me, but it ended up okay.
Well, yeah, and we were talking too. I mean, especially if you're primarily trying to hunt squirrels and stuff, man, it's really it's almost pointless to trap a bird before mid-October or something anyway. Especially if it's a red tail, because hell, most of the spots and areas in the Midwest, the leaves don't come off the trees until late October, early November
that's
anyway.
Exactly right.
And we could go on and on about just how much this time of year sucks, at least in the Midwest anyway.
Yeah.
I know some of those guys out west have it a little bit more easy, and depending on what they're trying to do.
Yeah, Wyoming and stuff like that. They're already having some cold weather, so they're enjoying it. But
yeah. Well, and that's the thing about, having been and worked out in Wyoming a few different times now, and that's a whole other can of worms there too, because you have like 2 or 3 actual real months of a season. The rest of it's just like literally
frozen up in snow.
It's living literally like the ice planet Hoth, and everything, and just trying to survive in those temperatures alone, let alone hunt.
Yeah.
Well, so I mean, out of curiosity, I know you're another one of these guys who's been doing this for a really, really long time. I mean, how many years have you been in falconry collectively?
It's like about 22 years, 23 years. I got into falconry because I just always loved birds of prey. Mm-hmm. Back in the 60s, they had an article in Sports Afield magazine, or one of those outdoor life magazines. You could buy a red-tailed hawk for $19.95. And I thought, hell, that sounds good. But in the bottom, real small print, it said, check with your local game laws, So I knew the game warden in my area. I got a hold of him and asked him about it. He says, hell, I don't know. He didn't know anything. He said, here's a number in Columbus. And that was before answering machines, Christ, I called this number, I don't know how many times, nobody ever answered. I didn't order the bird, I was smart enough not to do that. Finally, a guy answers the phone, and I basically told him my name and where I lived, Belmont County, and I had an opportunity to buy a red-tailed hawk and just wanted to see if it was okay. And it reminded me of that show, Christmas Story, where you can't you'll shoot your eye out, kid. He said, no, falconry's illegal and you can't possess a bird of prey, and hung right up on me. So I thought, well, I'll never do falconry because it's illegal. And many years later, matter of fact, I moved to Florida and was down there for quite a bit. I came back in 92. I was into grouse and woodcock hunting pretty heavy and stuff like that. My cousin ran an airport in Cadiz, Ohio, and he said, there was a guy out the airport the other day. He was hunting rabbits with hawks from Texas. I said, you're kidding. I said, did he go back to Texas? No. He said, the birds are from Texas. He said, he lives in Hopedale, which is right next to Cadiz. I said, you got his number? He said, yeah. Well, he gave me his number. Hell, I stalked him till he let me come over and see the birds. And at that particular time, season was still in, but it was winding down. And I went out with him several times. He introduced me to some PA guys, Pennsylvania guys, and their season goes till the end of March. So they took a shining to me, and I went up there quite a bit and watched their birds fly. And that's how I got into it. I just knew I wanted to do it right then and there. And Dave agreed to sponsor me. And at that particular time, he was having a lot of issues, working a lot of hours at work. And he just had a lot on his plate. He agreed to do it, but he wasn't as involved as he could have been. He was in some stuff and other stuff he wasn't. So I did a lot on my own. And fortunately, I ran into some guys in the club that were decent guys, took me under their wing and helped me a good bit. So that's how I got into it. And I never looked back. Once I got into it, I just fell in love with it. Wished I'd have got into it. I'm pretty old. I wished I'd have got into it, at a younger age.
Yeah, and I've had that exact conversation with a lot of other people. I wish I could have also whenever I was younger, but I've said it a lot of different times. I mean, there's no way I would have been able to.
No.
Logistically.
Right. Exactly. You got kids at home. You got this going. You got that going. Financially, you can't swing it. And yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, you're right. So I didn't have any of that going for me. I had everything fell in line. And the bird dog situation, I had really good dogs, but no grouse around home anymore. And I was having trouble to travel to hunt. So I talked to Linda, and of course, she's my better half. She doesn't. She's afraid of the birds and doesn't care much for them, but she supported me 100%. Says, if you want to do it, I'll be happy for you and all that stuff. And that's how I got into it. It's a family affair. I don't care what anybody says. If your better half or is not into it with you or doesn't want you doing it, it's going to make for a miserable time. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's. I think back on that too. Like initially, me getting into it, and I remember my wife initially telling me, "Nah, you're not going to do that." Yeah. Okay, I guess I'm not going to do it now. That obviously didn't happen. But yeah, you're absolutely right. And for me, it was more. I know for me, it was more of a resource type of deal, and there's no way any younger I would have been able to have the space or the land or the place to build a mew, mm-hmm. All that kind of stuff, let alone just the time and just the interest. I mean, when I was in especially up through my mid-20s, I was still more favoring music and all that kind of stuff. And I know, yeah, I mean, if it's not something that you think you're ready, it's pointless to get into.
Yeah, that's 100%. Yeah, it's not a sport, or it's not a hobby. It's more a way of life. I mean, you're into it, and to do it right, it's a full commitment, all the way around. To do it properly, put the time in it. It's not like a gun. You can shoot a gun, clean it up, put it in the gun cabinet. Don't need it till next fall. You got to handle these guys every day, take care of them. The good thing was my sponsor hunted Harris Hawks, and he hunted with little Jack Russels. So I was introduced right off the bat to dogs and birds, which was awesome. So I had a red-tailed hawk that did fly with the birds, or the dogs, and I had 2 really good dogs, and I had a little 5.5 pound Jack Russell. He was literally like a ferret. And he'd go in the hole. I mean, you didn't know when he was coming out or not. And sometimes he came out on the back of a rabbit. Sometimes, the rabbit came out. He was really good. And for a long time, things went really well with that team. Went good. We went out to Kansas. We had my second year. We had a great trip out there. We came back, and that's when the feds had the big, I don't know what you'd call it, big coup. They tried to bust us.
Operation Falcon.
Yeah, they got us all at once. They was at everybody's house at the same time. Boom. I was on my way to my sponsor's house, who I went out west with, and I owed him a little bit of money because we put some stuff on my credit card, some on his, and owed him a little bit of money, and he wanted me to help him do something with a bird. So I'm on my way out there, and Linda calls me, and she says, there's a highway patrolman here, a sheriff's deputy, a city policeman, and a game warden, and a guy from the feds. I live on a dead-end street. I'm sure my neighbors thought drug busting, She said, they want to inspect your facilities. And I was compliant. I said, okay, let them, go ahead. They said, no, you got to be here. So I got on the phone with him, and he said, what, you want me? I said, you want me to come home right now? He says, no, what are you doing? I said, I'm going to my sponsor's house, help him do something. What time realistically you think you can be home? This was like 9 in the morning, Mm-hmm. And I said, I can be there by 11:30. He said, make it easy. You want to make it noon? I said, 11:30 is good. So I went out to Dave's. I called Dave to tell him I was on my way out, and the feds were at my house. He said, there's one here right now at the table with me. And I thought, oh, wow, this is crazy. So I went out to his house anyhow, helped him do what I was going to do, gave him some money. And my phone rings, and it's my friend from Columbus. And he said, did they get you yet? He said, they were at my house. He said, they were, we didn't realize they got everybody at the same time. It was pretty cool what they did. They were apparently after 2 people. They did get them, the ones that they wanted to get. It was nerve-wracking because even if you're compliant, you got everybody there checking, and it's kind of scary, but, we all passed. So that was nuts. Then I said all that to say this. My sponsor and I were getting ready to hunt, and this is how easy things can go awry. Mm-hmm. We're getting ready to hunt, met him out the hospital out there in Caddis, and we were getting ready to go down off the bank, steep bank going down into the cover, and I got my red tail on my fist. He's got my Jack Russell, and he throws the Jack Russell over the bank, to get him started. Well, the bird winged over and nailed him. Well, first thing Dave says, and Dave was all paranoid. I don't know why. Something. Your bird's light. I said, he's not light. He's right on, Dave. She's right on. Right, perfect weight. No, she's got to be light. So after we got the bird off of him, he made me feed her up. Well, guess what? All she has to do now is hit a dog,
and
she gets fed up.
Right.
My God, it turned the best experience that I could ever imagine into the worst. Yeah. She saw a dog, she was going after it. So that I enjoyed the fruits of hunting with dogs and birds, and then all of a sudden I didn't. So then after the first year bird, being a red tail, of course, I got right into Harris Hawks and been doing them ever since. Had several. And matter of fact, the 2 I got now are close to 20. They're, and I've had them since they're out of different clutches, but same year, same birth, year, no relation, and they've been workhorses all those years. It's amazing.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a long time. I mean, and it's one of those deals where, if you're going to have a Harris, especially for that long, you might as well just make sure that you keep it until it, either passes or something. Because I've had some experience with dealing with some older secondhand Harrises, and it's just it is very tough to get them accustomed to somebody new.
Be like a child or something, taking them out of their environment or something like that. My birds know me, and I have such a great relationship with my birds. It's crazy, but my female thinks I'm her mate. My male thinks I'm his mate. I can fly my birds with other Harrises, but I can't fly them together. They hate each other because they think I'm, So I'll go in, like a lot of times, at least once a week, I'll go into my birds' pens with a lawn chair and sit there and do some computer work or something with my phone and spend time with the birds. And I got a great relationship with them because you get out of anything I've learned from sports and everything else I've done. You get out of something what you put into it.
Yeah.
And you build that relationship with that bird. When it's time for me to go back to the car, they're beating me to the car, So, I mean, it's people kid me and say, "Oh man, you're such a good falconer." No, I'm just the transportation. I take the birds and the dogs, and then, they do their thing, and then we drive home. So I love it. And the Harris Hawks and the dogs, I love it.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Yeah, it's like I said, I think that it's pretty unanimous for the most part. The people that start hunting with dogs, it's hard for them to kind of go back. It's another thing we've talked about quite a bit. But I mean, do you think that if you had to hunt without dogs again at this point, that you would continue falconry?
Yeah, I do. Because I got my female. 2 years she hunted good with the dogs, and all of a sudden she didn't. So, but I do her special occasions, T-perches and stuff where I don't need a dog. So I still would. Yes, I definitely would. But it's so much easier with a dog. And here's the advantage to me with a dog. You jump a rabbit, and it goes someplace. You're not sure where it goes. Okay. That's the advantage of the dog, because the dog will find it and re-jump it, and that's when the bird usually gets it. On the flush, do they get them? Sure, they get them sometimes good bit of times. But the majority of times, I feel that rabbit takes off. Who the heck knows where it went? The dog does. Boom. And bird following the dog, and they get it on the reflush. And that's I mean, it makes it easier, much easier when you do it that way. I mean, to me, Now, we did switch from Jack Russels to dachshunds. Mm-hmm. And the reason is I had a great Jack Russell and a couple good Jack Russells. They were good jumpers, but in my opinion, they couldn't track like a dachshund. And Gary put a lot of pressure on him. He'd run around like a banshee, and sometimes the rabbit would go pretty far. Whereas the dachshunds are slow and methodical. And like if you're hunting with a beagle, they'll run 400 yards before they make their circle. But with these guys, they may only go 70, 80, 90 yards, and they start circling back. And that's what's nice. If you stand there and keep still, don't say a word, don't tell the dog anything, don't tell the bird anything, just stand there, lean against a tree and be quiet. That rabbit will start to come back, and that's when the bird will smack them a lot of times too.
Yeah, it's
hard to do for a lot of people. There's some guys, stormtroopers, they got to bang through the bush, and that's the hardest thing is just if you walk where that dog was or where that dog's going to go, you're messing its scent up. It smells you, and so if you leave it go, leave it virgin territory, let the dog hit it, stand there and relax, and I've put them in brush piles. Okay, a big, huge brush pile. I've put him in a brush pile, leaned against a tree. When I'm telling you it's 20, 30 minutes they're in there, moving around. You can hear them moving. All of a sudden you'll hear a whine. Mm-hmm. The bird sets up on that whine. He's ready. And that rabbit breaks, boom. We had a brush pile in Pennsylvania at a field meet up there. the city, whenever they trim trees or they put everything in one big pile, and then late in the early spring when they get all the rain, they burn it. Mm-hmm. Well, it hadn't been burned yet. It was just a huge brush pile. I can't tell you how many rabbits we got out of that brush pile. Just putting a dog in, bird would get the rabbit, leave the same dogs in, go get another bird. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It was amazing, back. So I've had some fun times like that,
Yeah, I mean, and I'm sure that as long as you've been doing it, you've seen a lot of the same challenges or faced a lot of the same challenges that a lot of us are facing with, habitat loss and loss of spots and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, I mean, it's another benefit of having the dogs too, is, some of these other harder spots become a little bit easier and all that kind of stuff too. But I mean, how many overall spots do you think you've lost over the years?
Oh, I've lost so many, and so many lately. Mm-hmm. That it's sad. It's really sad for me. I had one spot that was my favorite spot down here. It was a big tree farm. And they had acres and acres and acres. I could hunt that farm 20 minutes from my house every day and never hit the same spot twice. I could hunt it for a week or two before I'd go back to the second spot. Rabbits galore. He got a lot of gas and oil money, and he kept putting less and less trees in. And now it's, there's nothing there. Mm-hmm. So that was my hardest spot. But I tell people all the time, whenever you're a hunter, you're only as good as the places you go to hunt. If you're gun hunting, you could be a great shot, have a great dog. If you don't have a place to go, you got nothing. Falconry, same thing. If you don't have a place to produce game so that your bird will have opportunities, you got nothing. And you can never have too many spots, because like you said, we're losing them left and right. Gas and oil's coming in. You got the tree huggers now. I mean, we can't allow any hunting. Hunting's not right. And I never ran into that before. I use the expression, "Can I exercise my bird here?" That I get by with some stuff that way. But what are you gonna do? I'll let my hawk fly around and exercise. Oh, can I bring my kids, grandkids? Yeah. I get a few spots that way, and they don't get upset if a rabbit goes and something like that. But if you knock on a door, tell them you want to hunt, you don't have much of a chance. But if you walk up, knock on the door, you got your bird on the fist, and hey, you mind if I exercise my bird here? And you'd be surprised the spots you can get. But I'm losing them. I'm still losing them.
For sure. Yeah. Now it's we've lost, I don't even know how many since I got into it 10 years ago almost, and same kind of deal. I mean, we've had some spots that someone had a nice chunk of land. It was great spot. And then like apartment complex comes and buys that and develops it, so on and so forth, all that kind of stuff. And it's heartbreaking.
It is. It really, you pull up there, you're ready to go, and you see all these flags out there. What the heck's going on? And then, Now, you live in Missouri?
No, I live in Indiana.
Well, that's right. You live in Indiana. Is a great state for falconry. I got a lot of friends over there I hunt with. Mm-hmm. But I used to go to Missouri a good bit, in St. Louis area, and hunt with those guys out there. We had so many great spots. And now what's happened is we've lost a lot of places out there through development and stuff. And if you go out into what we call outside the outer belt, you don't get a lot of rabbits because there's too many coyotes. But if you're hunting inside the outer belt, like, inside city limits and stuff like that, where you got good cover, there's definitely more game. But we're losing spots. We're losing spots all over the place. Yeah, it's sad.
Yeah, it really is. It's and everybody I've talked to, it's kind of the same. We're just all at a loss. We don't really know what the solution is, or if there is one, unfortunately. And I don't really know what's going to make that whole situation any better. I mean, aside from winning $1 billion in a lottery and buying up all this land, yourself or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. It's not going to get any better, unfortunately. But I mean, so have you mainly just flown then red tails and Harris's?
Red tails, Harris. I got a goshawk right now that I'm working with. I've had a lot of health issues, and so I got this goss out of really good stuff. My friend Jeff Kissack is a really good goshawk breeder, and I got her from him. And I've creance flown her and stuff like that. This year, I'm hoping to get her out in Kansas. I want to leave like they say, God willing, and the creeks don't rise. I don't think they're going to rise in this drought, but I want to leave toward the end of October and go out there for quite a while and spend some time out there and get her cranking. My goal is to get her cranking. The Harrises, I'm not worried about. They get them down to weight and it's fine. But I do want to get her cranking because she's, on the creance and stuff, the things I've seen her do is like pretty scary. So it's, I just want to do that. I just want to do that because I've got her and I haven't done much with her. So she's a nice bird. She's been so far pretty biddable.
Yeah, if you got it from Jeff, and was it a parent reared bird?
No, I got imprint. I got it 16. Yeah, okay. 16 days. Everything went good. This year she had the breeding experience. She was getting ready to breed. So I didn't know what was going on, and I went to go in the pen, and she had her diapers out, and she looked like she wanted to attack me. So of course I called either her or either Jeff or Gil Gross, both good guys on Goshawks. And what's going on? Well, you're her mate, and she's accepted you, but she's mad at you right now. She's she's going to be that way for 7 to 10 days till the hormones drop a little bit, and then she'll come around. So I went through the mock breeding thing with her, act like I was breeding her. We built a nest together. She laid 4 eggs. Of course, they were infertile. But it was really a neat experience. I've bonded so close with that bird. She's on tearing something up. I can get right in there with my bare fingers and open it up for her and stuff like that. We've always had. She scares me, to be honest with you. Sometimes she gives me that stink eye, and it's like they're frightening birds.
Is it a Finnish?
Yeah, it's a Finn. Yeah, it's a Finn. She's nice size. I was flying her on the creance at almost 1,400 grams, and she was smacking. I don't know if she's going to regular fly that big, but she might. She may not. Gil's watched her, and he said he thinks that she's just extremely food motivated, which some are, which is good because weight doesn't really matter so much to them.
Yeah, after they get a lot of confidence and stuff like that, you can fly them. And sometimes getting them back if they miss is a little bit harder, but they'll fly off of confidence at a lot higher weight. Yeah, and it's but sometimes it's
she's so powerful. Just when I have her on a glove and moving around, she'll just move. I'll move my glove or something. She just tightens up. She's not trying to. You can just feel the power. She's just a very powerful bird.
Yep. I'm gonna have my first foray into I'm gonna have my first foray into the Goshawk world this season. Also, I'll be flying and one for Seth Roy. So he can get it ready for his breeding project next year and stuff. And but yeah, they're neat birds. I've been watching fly for a long time. I've still not flown one myself, so I'm looking forward to getting that experience. And it's either going to be the nice litmus test that's going to either either I'm not going to be able to give it back fast enough, or I'm going to have a lot of fun, one or the other. So
I tell this story all the time. One of the best days of falconry I ever saw was with a goshawk, and one of the worst days of falconry I ever saw was with a goshawk, and it was the same bird on the same day.
Yeah.
So you don't know which bird's going to show up. So
I've seen quite a few of those days actually. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But no, that's cool. Like I said, I'm curious though. Like getting into. I haven't really heard very many people talk about the whole, like Jack Russels especially. I've talked to several people so far about docs. I do want to hear kind of, your early experiences and kind of what turned you on to the breed and everything. But, going back to the Jack Russells a little bit, how many years did you incorporate a Jack Russell, did you say, in your
about
falconry?
4 years?
About
4 years. Yeah, I had a good breed. My sponsor, and Floyd Presley, was a world renowned falconer. He got some Russells actually from Teddy even, and he had some really good ones. They called them dentairs, like a little collapsible chest they could get into holes like you couldn't believe. The downside to a Jack Russell. They're much more headstrong than a dachshund. As far as they're going to do things their way, you got to follow them. You got to do this. You got to do that. They're more headstrong. They don't wear out. I mean, you could hunt. I had that Gary dog. I swear to God, you could hunt him all day long. I mean, he was amazing. Never wear out. On the way home, he'd sleep on the front seat. If anybody was looking down out of a truck, they'd say, well, that guy's driving to the morgue with his dead dog. I mean, that's how dead look he was. But he just loved it. Now, the dachshunds, I do believe, have a better nose. And if you think about it, dachshunds came around later to most people. Most people had the Russels at first. And I even think Teddy started, had Russels at first and stuff. And then you see the light with the dachshunds. And the dachshunds are just so biddable, they bond to you. They can make Russells can too, phenomenal pets and yet good hunting partners. I'd say 4 or 5 years I did the Russells before I got a dachshund.
And you've been pretty much exclusively dachshunds ever
yeah,
since?
Oh, yeah.
And how many years total you think you've been messing with dachshunds?
I'd say a good 15 probably, give or take.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming then in that 15 years you've had a decent amount. Or how many total dachshunds have you had?
I've had, let's see. Tippy, Zoe. Tippy was my first one. Tippy, Zoe, Steve, Jack. I've had, and Vine. 6.
6?
Yeah.
And how many do you like to run at a time?
I ran Tippy and Zoe a good bit by themselves. Vine I'll run this year with Jack to get Jack started because he's a year. I now that I'm older, I could run them together because, but before I felt guilty if a dog hadn't hunted, if that makes any sense.
Sure. Yeah.
So I'd go ahead and say, I got to get this dog out. And same with birds. I had three Harrises. I'd be dead dog tired and flown 2 Harrises, but I didn't, my bird's down to weight. So when I was younger, I could go. I mean, I could go. When you're by yourself and you got 2 dogs out and a bird, let me tell you something. That's a lot of work. One bird's over here, one dog's over here, one dog's over here. Where in the heck's the bird following that dog? This dog is, you got a lot to worry about. Mm-hmm. So it's one dog and one bird to me was perfect.
Yeah, and I think I'm going to kind of transition to that myself this season. I've got 3 dachshunds now, but I mainly went that route because I wanted to rotate them, mm-hmm. and I didn't want to have to run the same one all the time. I don't think I would ever personally run more than 2 anymore.
It's a handful.
It does get to be a handful.
Oh, it is. And going back to the car, you got to find this one, find that one. That one's in a hole. Oh my! Yep. Take them back, go find the other one. Jeez, Pete, it's
because they'll keep hunting even. And they'll just keep going.
Yeah, it's time to quit for us. It's not time to quit for them. No. So, and then if you got 2 out, they get competitive too. Mm-hmm. I don't want this guy to find a rabbit before I do, so they work out much harder, and they're just competitive animals. So yeah.
Yeah. So for me, it's like I said, aside from the stress and everything, the only thing that's been kind of stressful to me is kind of refining how I've kind of gone about introducing the dogs, the birds, and vice versa, and all that kind of stuff, and from now on, I've been wanting to talk a little bit more about, instead of the same couple questions I've been asking people, with their particular experience with dachshunds, I'm going to start asking people more about what their experience has been and what their particular methodology is, in introducing the birds to the dogs and vice versa and all that kind of stuff. What have you found has worked for you most over the years when it comes to that and getting the bird to accept the dogs and work together and all that?
Tie-outs. Tie-out change with a dog and tie-out change with a bird, where they can't get to each other, but they can get close. Okay? And then, like my Zippy bird, you don't like to brag about, like bird dogs, they say don't brag about your bird dog, even if it, even if it runs away, because it might come back. They might let you down. This bird has done, Rick and all kind of people have seen so many things that this bird's done over the years. But he is strange with dogs. He's got to get used to a dog. I started him off with Tippy with his black dapple. Hunted great with her. I got Zoe, who is a red. He didn't hunt with her. So I tied him out. about 2 weeks, right next to each other. I fed them next to each other. I'd be all day. I'd sit there with them. I fed the dog. I fed the bird right next to each other. It worked. So they got to get used to each other. They got to be by each other. They got to see that, they're not gonna go at. Now, if you see the bird going after it, you just got to be careful. You got to make sure it's far enough back that it can't get it. Majority of the time, the bird is not going to so much go after the dog as be standoffish with them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so you just want to let it know that, hey, it's feeding and we'll go out. Yeah. I was so brokenhearted, because I had both dogs with me. I hunted with, Tippy, the dapple. She caught a rabbit, and I was excited to work the new dog that I'd got from a friend of mine she was really, really good dog. Teddy knew her over the years. I put her out, boom, nothing. I mean, he sat in a tree and wouldn't do anything. I knew it wasn't his weight. I got to be the dog. So I got the dog back. I called him down to a lure, counted it as a loss, and I did my routine with tying him out, and it worked. After that week, I did it all week, went out that weekend, and they flew together. Now, one thing he won't do, I have no idea why, he hates horses. He's scared to death of them. He sees a horse, it's an alarm call, sits up in a tree, boom. I've taken him in barns to get pigeons. He'll catch a pigeon, fall down on the cow's back, land on the ground right underneath the cow, won't let go of the pigeon, everything's fine. But a horse at 400 yards, he freaks out. I don't know what the heck that's all about. I mean, he's never had a bad experience with a horse. But, there's just different idiosyncrasies. Who knows what they're thinking? They got the bird brain. We got to remember that. And so whatever might not make sense to us, for them, it's making sense. Coloration on a dog, shape of a dog. He doesn't like dogs. Zippy doesn't like dog with prick ears. So I don't know that I could ever get him to fly with a feist, with the prick ears. He doesn't like prick ears on a dog. Alarm calls him. So I don't know if it's a coyote thing built in. I don't know what it is. But so each bird's different. But that works to me. That's the best way to do it. If you got a couple dogs, tie them on each side of the bird, and just get them used to it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and I had this new Harris that I'm trying to get going. I had basically perched in our living room for weeks, and I didn't have it restrained from the dogs or vice versa or whatever. She was doing more of the standoffish thing inside and stuff. But of course, recently we actually get to hunt and stuff, and of course it's been so dry, the dogs, and it's so thick, the dog's been having a hard time getting a bird. So 10 minutes in, of course, she decides just come off a T-perch and just latch on, and so we're working past that right now, and like I said, it seems to be a common theme. I've very rarely, especially when it comes to Harris's, I really haven't heard of very many instances where there's just an automatic, sinking of the mind, so to speak. It seems like there's always some degree of work that has to be done. Yeah, but
it's like anything else. It's just and some like I say, Purdy hunted great with the dogs. Halfway through the second year, she hit Zippy. I scolded her and yelled at her, picked her up and threw her, and she went back about 75 yards, and we kept on hunting, and she stayed way back there. Finally, she came up, and she hunted. She hunted the rest of that year real good. Put her up for the molt, had her out in the yard. Zippy walked by her. She'd get that lean like she was going to attack him. So I called Floyd. I said, nah, he said, she's not going to attack the dog. She's just being territorial of her perch. I knew better than that. I could tell by the look in her eye. And she started hitting dogs. So she does not fly with dogs, and Zippy does. So and the big bird I had that was a really good jackhawk, Pippa, she was phenomenal with dogs. She didn't care what dog it was. She flew with them. So every bird, just like people, different personalities and quirks. And if you got a team that works and it's working good for you, it's why I've kept them for so long. Just keep it, and don't. A lot of guys want to change. I want to try this. I want to try that. If it's working. Another thing. Now, a lot of people may disagree with me on this. I don't know, and I'm just saying what works for me. My birds have had the same flying weight forever. Now, does that mean I can fly them higher? Yep. Does that mean they'll do almost everything I expect of them? Yep. Will they catch on a regular basis? Nope. You know what I mean? So people play with their weight. Oh, I flew her at, like Zippy, he's 620 grams. You take him out 640, he'll go through the motions. You take him out 630 and you hunt him a little bit, put him away in a box, he'll cast, have a few mutes, he's down closer to 620, he'll catch. But it's nuts. They got their flying weight. We hunt because we want to. Those Harrises, they got to feel a need to. It's like I was kidding Richard about his sponsor that was trained by 3 different Harrises that I know of. Because he was just content with going through the motions and stuff like that. They'll train you. I mean, they'll follow you around. They'll act like they're chasing. You lure them down by the car, you put them away. It was a good day. You didn't catch anything. In their minds, it's a good day. To me, if I'm not catching, it's not a good day. Mm-hmm. Or at least having some real good contact,
Sure.
So there's a big difference, And if you get that bird triggered in on its weight, exactly, boom, you got it,
Sure. Yeah, no, like I said, that's why I want to start kind of shifting some of these questions, and not just with dachshunds, but with other dogs and stuff,
Sure.
to other breeds, and just hearing what other people's experiences are and how they're getting their dogs going with their birds and stuff. It's something I probably should have touched on a little bit more before now, but anyway, yeah. I mean, I just, like I said, I know it's always a process, and every bird's different and all that kind of stuff. So. As soon as I'm sure it'll be another one of those things. As soon as I think I got it figured out, then I'll, the next team. So far I've been unfortunate, I guess, in a lot of ways, not very fortunate in a lot of ways, because I haven't had like my special sauce yet when it comes to dogs and a dog and a bird working together. So I haven't had my magic formula yet. So. And
it'll click. I mean, you'll get it. It'll click, and then when it does, I mean, hang with it, because. That's exactly what you want. I mean, that's exactly, if it's not broke, don't fix it. I mean, it's a lot of people, falconry is so many different things to so many people. I mean, what I'm saying is catching's important, because I'm overweight and I can still hunt, but a bird's not going to. Right. So based on that, if you get their weight figured out, just like that story I told you about my red tail, how close she was with my birds. I would feed her on a screen perch. She would be on a screen perch. My dogs would clean her feet when she was sitting on it. That's how close a bond she had, until she hit him. And I was told to feed her up. I wasn't told, he fed her up. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying?
Sure.
Think about that. I had the perfect thing going, and boom, I didn't. So there's such a fine line between, success and non-success, and starting off like until you get the right formula. And when you get it, stick with it. That's the whole thing, John. Don't try to push water uphill. It's not going to.
Oh, trust me. I was another one of those guys that just wanted to try a bunch of new stuff over the early years and all that kind of stuff of my falconry. And I kind of regret that to some degree, because I started seeing more and more people. It's just like, oh, how many years have you had that bird? 8. How many years have you had that bird? Oh, 9.
Yeah.
How many years? And it's kind of like with the same deal. I mean, there's a reason why you as time goes on and you find out how truly, hard it is to find, the right combination. Sometimes you start to appreciate whenever you do have it more. Mm-hmm. As I've said many times before, early success sometimes can mean a little bit harder, times later, because you don't appreciate, the good stuff, as early on. And so I would love to find, the right dog bird combination, at least ride it for at least, half a decade or so.
Sure.
I would love to have that. But,
it makes it real simple, just get them and go. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I mean we'll see. It's always that, chasing the dragon, another form of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, well, and so, kind of circling back a little bit, I am curious. So you said you've had some health issues and stuff. I know, like, when it comes to your falconry and some of the adjustments you've had made because of some of those challenges. I mean, I know you've had some issues with your neck and stuff, right, or your spine, and what other stuff have you had to kind of work around?
I've had 33 major surgeries.
33.
I've had everything from brain tumor down to having my feet rebuilt, and fortunately I've not had cancer. I did have, like I say, brain tumor, surgery on an eye, got hit in the eye with a Harris hawk. That's a funny story. Total accident, tore my tear duct, but, and everything in between. 5 back surgeries, neck surgery, numerous, hernia surgeries, knee replacements and such like. When I was young, I was a maniac. I did absolutely nothing that was good for my body. Started off riding motocross, got into breaking horses, got into boxing, got into competitive tennis. I did skydiving, but that's not hard on your body. It's hard on your mind sometimes, but not harder on your body. But I did everything that I could possibly do to ruin my body. And now, when I got older, I paid for it. Didn't have any of them surgeries early on. They all hit at once. And so it's very difficult for me to walk. I've had some torn hiatal hernias and stomach flipping and all kind of major things that I'm not allowed right now to lift more than 40 pounds. Everything in my world is 45 pounds and up, and I'm not allowed to lift more than 40. Think about it, bags of dog food, everything. So my wife is 92 pounds soaking wet. Her and I pick up a bag of dog food. Looks like we're carrying a corpse. I feel so bad that I can't do so many things. Now today, I walked the best I walked. I got Lyme's a while back. As a matter of fact, I got it up at the meet up in PA.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah,
and that knocked me down pretty good, and I'm getting over that. But today was the best I walked this morning. I did all those braces in the morning, and we stopped for lunch, and they was going to do another one like after lunch, I think it was, or something, maybe before lunch. But I was getting ready to go out with them, and as I started to walk out, I felt myself tight, and I said, you know what, I'm not going to go, and I didn't, and I took it easy. But that's my problem right now is my limitations. I feel so frustrated because of what I could do before and I can't do it now. Linda's my best supporter. She'll give me a pep talk. You're 78 years old. Look what you're doing. Your buddies are drinking coffee and going home and watching YouTube and taking a nap, and look what you do. But I just like to do it, and it's hard for me to do it. My fingers are a mess. I have no feelings in my fingers. Everything, the clips I can still do, but like the putting a tail mount in and taking the back out, changing the batteries, my fingers don't work. So it's best for me to be with somebody when I'm flying, especially because of the shape that I'm in, you know.
Yeah.
But so that's my problem right now with the limitations. So that's why the Harris hawks are so important to me, because there's no stress. You know, you just go out and do it.
It would be very hard for you right now to start from scratch.
It would be.
Yeah.
I could not do a red tail right now. And I sponsor people, and what I do is I sponsor people to help them get into it. I make them go with a sea year and see all the stuff that's involved. And if they want to get into it, I'll sponsor them. But I also know some good red tailers that help them out, and I'll be there for them and stuff. But I'm so far away from a red tail that I'm not going to pretend I can tell somebody what to do with a red tail. I can tell them what to do with a Harris, and so far how my thing's going with a Goss. But I've not had quote unquote big success with that, so I'm not going to beat my chest and say here's what you do with the Goss until I get some success with it. But yeah, it's one of them deals where it's a red tail. If I had to start off with a red tail right now, I'd probably quit falconry and just do education shows.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah. So I'm branching into that a little bit. Then you've done abatement and education and that kind of stuff also, right?
Yes. I have an abatement business. I use it to supplement my falconry. If I want to buy a bird, I want to do this, I want to do that. I take all the money that I make with abatement and I'll buy a van, or I'll buy this, or I'll buy that. And that's basically what I do. I use it to cure my fix, if that makes any sense. That's what
Sure.
I use it for. I trap raccoons out of buildings, problem raccoons. I've done a lot of groundhogs this year. I do dispatch the groundhog or the raccoons because you can't relocate them. They're problems, but I relocate the groundhogs and I relocate the possums and the skunks to my friend's farm. He loves them, so I relocate those, and I keep geese off of ball fields. I've been using the birds for that, and also I'm starting to use the dachshund for that. We'll chase them. So and I do a lot of bird shows. People in the area call me Birdman, and they call me for different things. I enjoy talking about falconry because I love the birds of prey so much, and teaching people, how hard it is for those guys to survive. They get hungry, they can't go eat seeds and berries and fruits. They got to catch something. If they're wounded and can't catch something, they're not going to make it. 8 out of 10 of them don't make it to a year old. There's a lot of different reasons. They'll get hit by cars on the interstate, tunnel vision. They see a mouse, they're going after it, boom. Just like people, some of us are better athletes than others. Some of us are better hunters than others. And unfortunately, birds are the same way. If they're not successful at hunting, and they're going to die.
Sure.
So, I like to get that story out, and I really enjoy doing things for kids, letting kids call the birds to the glove and do things like that. I enjoy doing that for them. Because I remember, I think I'd have gone completely bonkers when I was young if somebody said, "You want to call a bird to the glove?" I mean, that would, because as much as I loved birds of prey, and didn't know how you could do it. So, my backyard. Linda was up at the Columbus Zoo a couple weeks ago. They have a bald eagle up there, but she didn't even see it. In my backyard, I got a eastern barn owl, 2 Harris hawks, and a Finnish goshawk. So there's more birds of prey in my backyard than is in the Columbus Zoo. So, and I like to make it accessible to people and things like that.
That's cool. Yeah, no, it's nice having other things that tie into what you're doing. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. When you can make a buck using your birds, that's pretty cool. I mean, if you think about it, I've gone into barns and gotten pigeons and starlings out with the birds and things like that. And so I enjoy it. It's kind of neat. I mean, I think.
Sure. Well, cool. Well, before we start kind of wrapping up a little bit, I mean, I know you told a pretty cool story over dinner, and I thought that would definitely be one to have you go ahead and share as part of the story section that we always do on the podcast. So I think it revolved around like one of your more productive days in falconry, correct?
The best day that I ever had in falconry. And I can't even imagine having another day like it. I'm in Liberal, Kansas hunting. I have a friend that lives out there, Ken Tooman. His son, Jeremy Tooman, played for the Steelers as a tight end. And I met Jeremy. Well, I talked to Jeremy on the phone, but I'd never met him. I was supposed to go up and show his kids the birds, but that didn't materialize. But anyhow, Ken turned out to be a friend of mine. So I was getting ready to go hunting for the last day, getting ready to go home. And my other 2 birds were too heavy. So I had Zippy, my male. I go out to this spot, and I've taken a lot of people there, call it the old homestead. And that's basically what it is, an old house, a barn torn down, a couple outbuildings all torn down. And at that time it had all kind of green stuff growing around it, whether it be winter wheat, alfalfa, all kind of stuff growing around it. And this patch was probably an 8 or 10 acre place with just an old farmstead. So when it was like that with all the green around it, this place was amazing. So I get out of the car, and first, not 15 yards, 20 yards from the car, there's a dead tree fall there. Hear a cockbird go up right out of the treetop. Zippy comes out of the tree and smokes that. Had a huge tail on it. So Ken Tooman, "Oh my gosh, I got to have that tail. Can I have the tail?" I said, "Yeah, you can have the tail." By the way, he did win the long tail contest at Walmart that year with that tail. But anyhow, I got the cockbird. So I said, "Well, let's just go around the building and see what we can catch." A cottontail broke out. As it broke out, Zippy went down to get it. He hit the ground. Next thing you know, you hear this commotion. Oh, what the heck's that? I go running over, and there was a spool of wire like hog fence wire. And there was a hen pheasant that was hiding in there. When he went down, he saw her. He went in there and grabbed her. So I get them out, now I got a cock pheasant and a hen pheasant. I've been 15 minutes. So I said, well, things are going so good. Let's just see catch one cottontail and we're out of here. So cottontail goes up, or runs out. He comes down. Just as he comes down, big Jack steps up and starts running. He hits the Jack on the head. I got the Jack mounted. It's about a 7.5 pound jackrabbit. He flies at 620 grams, which is about 20 ounces or give or take. He's got his feet on the head, and they off over the rise they go. And I figure I'll never see him again. I hear the rabbit squealing, and I go down, and he's got it pretty good by the head. And so they're up against like a road grader blade. And I get him off of that. And I told Ken, I said, man, so we got two pheasants and a jackrabbit. We're walking out. I'm done. I'm elated. I'm hiring a kite, walking out back to the car. I got Zippy on the leash and got the leash. I'm holding in my fingers. I don't have the leash tied to my glove, which you should always do, as you know. But I got it in my hand, and we're walking back to the car. We don't get 20 feet from the car. Cottontail takes off. He jumps off the glove, catches the cottontail with a leash on him. They're right by my back tire. Yeah, so a cock pheasant, a hen pheasant, a jackrabbit, and a cottontail. Boom, like that. So all the way home, I was in seventh heaven. That's my best day ever falconry, and for some people, it's probably a lifetime. Yeah, but that was, You certainly don't get those days every day.
No, you don't.
Yeah,
especially not that quick.
Oh my, it was amazing. But there was a lot of game then. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of game out there at that time, and in truth, I mean, a lot of game. You got opportunities. You give those birds opportunities. I'd go out west for about 3 or 4 weeks, and I'd always come back around the first part of December because it was deer season in Ohio, and I didn't deer hunt, but it would give me and the birds a chance to take a rest because we'd been out there a month, 3 weeks or a month. We're beat. We're dead dog tired. So I'm resting up. And then when I would start back to hunting the first week in December, after the first week of December, we start hunting again. Them birds were so sharp from being on them fast cottontails out west. They get so many opportunities. Them things are like
a lot smaller and a lot quicker.
Oh, they are. So you get them, they're catching them left and right, these big fat cottontails. They weren't getting away from them. So they, just like anything else, they get really sharp, whether you're trap shooting, skeet shooting. The more you do, the better you get. And that's the way they are. So that would get them started for my year. And then I'd have a good year,
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, and as far as, is there, out of curiosity, this is something else I've been kind of asking people too. I mean, is there any type of falconry that you wish, like in all these years, that you could have done but weren't able to?
Well, if I lived out west, there's two things that I would have done. I'd have flown a falcon, probably a big falcon, on some sage grouse or something like that. And ducks even, before it freezes up. And I might have flown a golden, on jacks, if I lived out west. I got friends that fly goldens, and I've been out many times with them. I've been with goldens many times when they caught stuff. They're amazing animals. That's what I may have done had I lived out west. But back here, we don't have the game base. Too many hills to fly a falcon. Not the game base for a golden. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's usually like one of the more common answers, I think. Yeah, everybody's, it's kind of the whole, I mean, there's been a fair share of people I've talked to also have been perfectly content doing what they're doing, and
hey, you got to do what you got, you play the hand that's dealt you, that's what we got here, so that's what we do.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I know, I'm just, like I said, that's why I'm glad that I took to squirrel hawking. I'd be fine doing that, I mean,
yep.
And yeah, so I mean, as far as everything else goes, though, I mean, is there any other like memorable moments I mean, I know you've been doing it long enough that you've got tons of stories and tons of memories and everything. But what's another one of your more memorable experiences
with falconry?
Mm-hmm, yeah,
I had I went past an open spring area. It was real cold out, and past an open spring area always holds ducks. And I wanted to get Purdy, my big female Harris, to get a duck. So I went past. There's an old barn, a rickety barn. I passed the rickety barn, and it was over this pond, and I let her out, and she flew to the top of the barn. And all of a sudden, before I even got there, I got all my stuff on and everything. I'm ready to go. Down off she goes, down toward the water. And I hear this ruckus. I mean, it's a ruckus. I hear the ducks going, and I hear a goose. I think, oh, God. So I go down. She's got this goose by the head in the water. So I go running down the bank. The bank's pretty steep. There's snow on the ground. My feet go out from under me. I hit on my butt, slide right down into the water. It's waist deep, solid ice, or cold as hell. I make a long story short, I managed to dispatch the goose. The goose hit me with her wing, and I wear real tight safety glasses. The safety glasses flew off my face, but in the scurry, I didn't know where in the heck they were or whatever. And I got the goose. I'm holding the bird. Didn't want to let go of it, so I got the goose in my gloved hand, and Purdy's on the fist. And I'm walking up over the hill, and I'm looking for my glasses. I can't find them. About 15 feet up on the bank, I find the glasses. That's how far they flew, tight-fitting glasses. And I didn't know how hard she hit me till the next day when I had a bruise on my nose and a black eye. Yeah, but we did get the goose, and I got the eye story. Did you want? You got?
Yeah. Go ahead and tell the eye story too. Yeah.
Okay. The very first day I flew Purdy, the very first day, first free flight, and if you've ever flown a Harris on their first free flight, easy for me to say, they look like kids. They're pretty uncoordinated.
Yeah.
She landed on the wrong branch, and hang down, this and that. So we were out in Scio, Ohio. My friend was a cop at the time, and he had permission to hunt on the walking trail. So Purdy was in front of me about 30, 40 yards. He was down over the bank. He said, "There's a rabbit right here." I said, "Let me call her over." So Falconry 101, you always call the bird with your hand away from the glove, or fist away from your face. And I didn't have my safety glasses on. I had a different car. I used a different car, didn't have my safety glasses. I had sunglasses there, but I didn't put them on because it was cloudy. Biggest mistake. So she comes over. I'm holding my hand up like this. She bounces off my fist, off the glove, and all 8 talons hit me right in the face. The big helix talon goes in my eyeball, right in my eyeball. And I tell you, that was very painful. So Brandon says to me, he says, "Oh my God, we're going to have to get you I'm bleeding all over the place." She didn't bind. She hit me, she didn't mean to do it. It was an accident. He said, "We got to get you to the hospital." I said, "No, I'm okay." I didn't know how bad I was hurt. I said, "I don't want to end on that note. Let's see." The rabbit, of course, took off after that. Brandon ran up over the hill to help me, and the rabbit was gone. So I went to take a couple steps, and it was like boom, boom. So this isn't good. One of my best friends is an optometrist. I called him up. He said, "Yeah, you better get in here." So I walked in a doctor's office, and he bought the practice from old Doc Jones, and Doc Jones was in his 80s. And once a week, he'd like to put his suit on and go down there and just walk around the old optometry office, and Harold respected him and let him do that. Well, anyhow, so Harold's looking at my eye, and I hear, never seen anything like this before. I thought, nah, that can't be good. He says, "Hey, Doc, look at this." So Doc Jones comes over, and he's got the thing, and he looks, and I've never seen like this before. I thought, this can't be good. He says, "Yeah," he says, "you got to go to Pittsburgh, such and such clinic up there, an eye clinic." And I said, "Okay." I said, "Give me the doctor's name, and I'll call him." He said, "No, they're waiting on you. Your wife's coming to get you." I didn't know how bad it was. Here I had a torn tear duct. But I walk into the office up there, and the first thing they do, they register you and everything. They're waiting on me to come in. First doctor looks, never seen like this before. Oh my God. So what he did, he took
3 for 3.
Yeah. He took a wee little plastic tube, and he put it where the tear duct would be, and he stitched it up. And he said, "I'm going to leave it in for 90 days, but I want to see you at the end of 60 days. I said, "Okay." I never had any trouble with it. Honestly, it never hurt. Sounds crazy, but it did not hurt after that initial boom, So I'm going along with it. Everything's going good. I'm still hunting, of course, wearing safety glasses. and that's what I recommend, safety glasses. Because the old adage says you can walk with an artificial leg, but you can't see with an artificial eye. Mm-hmm. So anyhow, I go back after 60 days, and he said, looks like it's healed up. I'm going to take that tube. He pulled the tube right out. Boom. And it was all, sealed up and everything. And I've never had a lick of trouble with it, knock on wood. Nothing. So that's...
No infections or
no
anything?
No infections, no. Every now and then, if it's super duper cold and the wind's blowing like crazy, that eye will feel a little bit different than the right eye. But nothing, nothing unbearable. My vision's still 20/20, and that's not bad for 78.
Sure.
But...
It's really good for 78.
Yeah. I got good hearing and good eyesight. Everything else, shot, John.
It just sucks.
It's shot, yeah. I can see and I can hear. Unfortunately, that's, yeah. But
well, I mean, yeah. Well, as they always say, the grass is always greener.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's probably people out there that'd be like, well, I'd be more than happy to trade this, that, and whatever functioning body part for my eyesight again or whatever. So
yeah, absolutely.
I guess if you think of things along those terms, there's somebody out there that's still envying you, even though the rest of your body needs a full replacement.
Yeah.
Well, that's crazy. I can only imagine how much that hurt.
Yeah, that was painful at the time. As soon as she hit me, it was boom. And I thought I'm probably blind because I couldn't see. I didn't know if she tore my eyeball out. I asked Brandon, is my eye still there? He said, yeah. And there was talon marks, right around my face. And
what was he going to say if it wasn't? I mean, like, this thing is just dangling.
I
felt
by
the optic nerve.
I felt so bad for him. I felt so bad for him because he was like, he was my young apprentice, and we were good friends to begin with. His family, good friends of mine, and he felt so bad. I mean, he was really rattled over it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, those are some good stories for sure. Thanks for sharing those. I always like to end, and we can start to wrap this up a little bit here. I always like to end on the note, though, of piece of advice, a sentiment, whatever you think is worth from your point of view, passing on to current or even prospective, future generations of falconers, and just it could be pretty much anything falcon related or otherwise, but yeah, I mean, pass on just a sentiment or a thought that you think is important, and we can come close to wrapping this up probably.
Okay. I think the main thing is respect the bird. Remember what that bird is. It's a bird of prey. It catches stuff, and just be honored and happy that it allows you in its world to hunt with it. And don't get into it for the wrong reasons. There's a lot of people get into it. They don't care about hunting. They just want to walk around, let people see them with a bird on their glove. They think it's pretty cool, but it's not. It's, as you know, it's a lot to take care of those guys. So get into it for the right reasons. Get into it for the betterment of the bird. That bird's allowing you to hunt with it. Enjoy that. Give it opportunities. And if you're not going to do that, really, and that's not really why you're getting into it, maybe think about getting into something. Get a parrot. Parrots, you can train parrots. They're birds. They'll interact with you. But a bird of prey is not a good pet.
No.
They are not a good pet. And, if you're not out hunting and catching stuff every day with the cost of what it costs to feed these birds now, I got a standing order with Rodent Pro that I used to do, and I got free shipping because it was $100. It used to be $106. That same order right now is close to $400 just in a couple years.
Doesn't surprise me.
No, the same stuff. And so there's a lot of expense, there's a lot of time. Get into it for the right reasons. That's what I'd say.
Yeah, I've become pretty cozy with Rodent Pro here recently.
Yeah,
well,
we all.
Too. Yeah, everybody I think has at one point in time or another. But they're based in the same town I live in, so I can
is that right?
Yeah, I can just, they're in Evansville. I can just go down and pick up orders if I need to. But it's kind of nauseating. What even mice and other things cost now. It's not.
They were
fun.
They were 9 and 10 cents when I got into it for a mouse.
Yeah, now they're the equivalent of 60 something. Well, depending on what size you're getting.
Yeah.
Some
chicks were a penny or 2 pennies a piece.
Yeah.
You buy a bag of chicks, 25 for 25. You know.
Yeah, I was gonna say now if you've got a hookup, you can still get them for about 25 cents a piece. But you gotta have a hookup.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nauseating to think of what all that stuff costs now. But geez, well, yeah.
And like my friend says, if it was cheap to be cool, everybody'd be cool. You know. So
if it was truly all that easy, then everybody would do it too, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else that you can think of that you'd like to share or or anything? I know that there's probably a lot about your life and other things that we haven't even scratched the surface on. You know, you've been around for a long time.
I just appreciate the opportunity to chat with you. Yeah. And
I know something else I was going to ask you too before we wrap up. You're still currently the president of the Ohio Club, right?
Yes.
And how long have you been doing that?
You know, I have to look into that. It's pushing 20 years, I think. So
nobody else has stepped up in that time?
I'm about ready to step down, I think.
Yeah.
I've got the club's going really well. We're having a lot of fun. We got money in the treasury. We're buying shirts, having our field meet. You have to come to that and see it. People have been to that. That's never been anyplace else. Say it's the best one they've been in the country, and it's free. The money we earn, we put back into doing stuff like that.
Nice raffle and stuff.
Nice raffle and so on and so forth. I'm about ready to pass the torch. I'm just, you got to get the right person in there. I think I'm good at alleviating situations. You know, I got guys that want to bite each other's necks and stuff like that. I'm pretty good at calming them down, and I don't hold a grudge. You know, people can get upset, and I can try to calm them down without holding a grudge. You got to be that way with it because in any club, you know, and I know, 20% of the people do 80% of the work.
Sure.
And in our club, I'd say it's 10% of the people do 90% of the work. But that's okay. You know, we got it down to a science. We got good people around us. It's a lot of fun, but I just think probably going to move on pretty soon here.
Yeah, and that's something that I've been harping a lot lately as an overall message, and that I like to repeatedly convey also is that people don't understand and realize how much work it is, and everybody can contribute at least a little something.
Yeah. And I enjoy it and eat it up, and I got good people around me that help me a good bit. I love the Indiana club. I used to do a lot of.
We've got a good club.
You got a very good club. Mm-hmm. Don Garvin was one of my best friends, and I met him. Through a trip out in Dodge City.
Rest in peace, Don.
Oh, yeah. Rest in peace. What a good guy he was.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
And I used to go out and stay with him and Nadine a week before the hunt, and him and I'd hunt, and then I'd help him get ready for the meet. Very close friend. And
now, you've been to the Terre Haute meet a lot,
yeah,
over the years and stuff. I remember seeing you there.
Yeah, and so I enjoy that. I enjoy going to other field meets. That one year I hit the Great Lakes Falconry meet, and then I came down and hit the Terre Haute meet on the way home. Mm-hmm. So I like to go to different clubs and see how they're run and see pick up stuff I like. Hey, I like this. I'm gonna try to implement this stuff I don't like. I know to stay away from. I can see, and so I've tried to work hard at it. I think people are pretty pleased with what I've done, but it's, as they say, getting long in the tooth.
Well, I mean, eventually somebody else has got to step up, and either it's gonna they're gonna fly or die, as they say.
That I put a lot of. You got to come to that meet the first weekend of March. You got to.
We'll talk about it. I mean, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, you got to come because you'll love it, and you'll see. And my buddy brings his golden eagle over, and it's a good time. It's a lot of people there. We roast pig and chicken. It's great.
Nice.
Yeah, and
as long as I know in advance, I can make sure I have it.
Yeah, it's the first weekend in March. I think it's. I just have to look and see what the dates are.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll keep in touch.
Yeah,
but you'd love it, and we have a big facility there. if people want to crash. When we started there, they just had kerosene burners. You'd freeze your butt off during the night. But it's a big common room. You bring a cot, people stay there. And there's motels around. But, if you want to stay there, some guys bring their campers and set up. And it's a pretty good time. It's a good time.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to check it out. I've been fortunate to see some pretty good meets. There's a handful of state clubs that really, I think, have it down pat. Yeah, they do a really good job. So that's awesome.
But I respect the two states that I really respect is Indiana and Pennsylvania. Those to me are the tits. I mean, they are. You know what I mean?
For sure.
When it came to getting the laws changed back, how the state was taken over from the feds, I was involved with the Pennsylvania. Those guys took me under their wing, and I watched what they did. So I got some stuff changed. Got Ohio Falconry in Ohio now and stuff. So I tried to get. I always ask for a lot more than I can get, but you got to ask. They can only tell you no.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's best to overshoot and then get partial.
Absolutely.
Yeah, then ask for too little and get none.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, this has been fun. It's been a good time. I'm glad we got a chance to hang out and make this happen tonight, especially since
we've been trying for a while, haven't we?
Yeah, we have. Yeah. Well, it's like I said, I've kind of had by the nature of the beast, I've kind of had to start conceding a little bit, and especially with the extra content that I'm offering now, I've kind of been forced to do some more stuff remotely and everything. But still, nothing beats the whole sitting in person and talking and doing things this way. It's still my favorite. So, thanks for taking the time to do it.
My pleasure.
Yeah. So. We'll see what we can get into tomorrow. See who wins, their trials and all that, and see how it goes.
Yeah, thank God it's cool. 91. Jeez.
I mean, there should be a law of nature that it should the temps should drop into the 40s and 50s max by September.
It's
ridiculous.
It's got to happen. Yeah, and bird dogs, when I was into them, their nose shuts off 60 or above. High 50s, low 60s, you're okay. You get up in the 60s, their nose shuts down.
Yeah.
And I'm sure these dachshunds being that close to the ground, all that pollen, geez, Pete.
Yeah, it's... I would die. I'd just go into some kind of anaphylactic shock with my allergies and stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway, all right. Well, thanks again, Mick. It's good having dinner and hanging out. And thanks again for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you.